Welcome to teeZee Book Reviews, where we dive into the latest page turners and timeless classics to uncover the insights and discoveries that can change the way we look at the world. I'm Jessica, your co host, and today I'm joined, as always, by the insightful Brian. We're delving into a fascinating read, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. Brian, how excited are you to talk about this book?
Oh, very excited, Jessica. Chris Voss takes us into the intriguing world of negotiation with a twist that's both surprising and practical. To think of negotiation beyond the typical back and forth and view it as an emotional and psychological craft really changes your perspective. It's not just about numbers or compromise, it's about understanding human behavior on a much deeper level.
Absolutely. And I love how Voss turns conventional wisdom on its head, especially with his emphasis on emotional intelligence and tactical empathy. It's not every day that you hear negotiations compared to life and death stakes like those in hostage situations, but Voss makes it compelling and relatable.
Yes, tactical empathy is such a core concept in the book. At its heart, negotiation, according to Voss, is less about outsmarting the opponent and more about understanding and guiding their emotions. It's like seeing things through their eyes to better influence the outcome you're after.
Exactly, Brian. It's this approach of seeing through the eyes of the other party that leads to what Voss describes as creative solutions, those that go beyond merely splitting the difference, which is often a lackluster compromise. Instead, he stresses on addressing the deeper, often hidden needs of both sides.
And a perfect example of this is his perspective on the word no. Typically, in negotiations, we cringe when we hear it because it's assumed to be a rejection. But Voss redefines it as a gift, a moment that provides clarity and a foundation for authentic conversation. It's the start of finding creative pathways and deeper understanding.
The power of no is so intriguing, and it makes me rethink not just negotiations, but everyday interactions too. It's like Voss is telling us that by encouraging no, we empower others to express their true concerns, creating safer environment for honest dialogue.
Right? And by the same token, the word yes takes on a new light here. Voss warns against aiming for superficial agreements. A yes without depth can lead nowhere. Instead, he champions going for that's right, as it signals genuine understanding and alignment, much more than a rote yes ever could.
That "that's right" moment took me by surprise, especially his anecdote about the high stakes kidnapping case. Who would have thought that those two words had the power to secure the release of hostages? It really drove home the idea that understanding and validating an adversary's perspective could turn the tide in tense negotiations.
It's a testament to the art of listening and reflecting emotions back to the other party. The methods of mirroring and labeling that he talks about are very practical in this regard. Imagine repeating a person's key phrases or labeling their emotions. It sounds simple, but it builds a rapport that opens doors to deeper conversations.
Voss truly changes how you think about communication. His late night FM DJ voice concept also stood out. You know, using a calm and soothing tone. It's about setting the emotional tone, reducing stress, and making the other party feel comfortable and heard.
What struck me is how Voss weaves in these psychological aspects like silence, too. The strategic silence after a question, it's such a powerful tool that many overlook. By creating that space, you encourage the other side to fill in the gaps, often revealing more than they intended.
Silence is golden in negotiations, as they say. Or perhaps it should be, silence is tactical, considering the context here. Then there's the calibrated questions technique, which flips the narrative from demanding to inviting collaboration. These how and what questions get the other person thinking constructively about the problem and owning the solution.
And those aren't just effective in corporate boardrooms, they're techniques that can improve personal relationships and everyday interactions, too. It's also applicable.
Absolutely. And speaking of universal application, I found it quite illuminating how Voss discusses bending reality. It's like, by understanding and strategically framing human biases, you can shift the other party's perception, alter their reality to match yours.
It comes down to perception of value, risk, and even loss. By anchoring early and framing the discussion, you're essentially steering the negotiation boat, guiding where it tends to dock. It's subtle but mighty.
Yes, another major theme is the importance of uncovering black swans, critical, often hidden pieces of information that dramatically alter negotiation dynamics. These are the bombshells that can turn an entire discussion on its head.
Finding those black swans, as Voss advocates, means digging deeper into what's unsaid and unseen. It's akin to detective work, but incredibly insightful once those swans reveal themselves.
Overall, Voss's insights force us to re-examine our traditional concepts of negotiation. His experiences as an FBI negotiator lend the book not only authority, but a level of intrigue that's hard to resist. You get real-world wisdom that spans far beyond hostage negotiations.
And that fusion of psychological insight with actionable strategies is what makes Never Split the Difference a transformative read. For anybody looking to hone negotiation skills, or even as Brian mentioned, improve everyday communication, this book offers a new lens on human interaction.
Totally agree. And while some critics might argue that Voss's strategies seem manipulative, he emphasizes an ethical approach with genuine empathy. That's key, whether in business or personal negotiations.
Right, ethical negotiation grounded in empathy lifts the strategies beyond mere manipulation. It's about building rather than breaking.
Well, that's all the time we have on teeZee Book Reviews today. Thanks for listening, everyone. Remember, you don't have to be in an FBI standoff to use these skills. Every conversation is an opportunity to understand and connect more deeply. Thanks for joining me, Brian. Thanks, Jessica. Until next time, keep reading and keep learning.